All right, let's talk about superchargers. So I want this to be a more sit down and chat kind of video rather than one of my more polished ones, because my video on how to spend your weapon vouchers and hero loadouts for ventures are two things you should check out, two good videos, and, you know, hero vouchers, which I made long ago, but it's still a relevant video. Those took a lot of work, and I've been able to make basically two polished videos in like the last 6 or 7 days because there's too much going on. But yeah, outside of the streams, we've been fairly busy. But I do want to talk about superchargers and how I'm going to be spending them, because I feel like this was a missed opportunity. I didn't think that many people would care about this, but there's been kind of a lot of hype around these superchargers, how you should spend them, and, well, the importance of them. So for those of you who don't know what a supercharger is, I can show you on my ceiling electric field straight up. It basically just makes it makes them do more damage, and you can see if I modify the perks, no, if I promote it, it'll go up even higher. Now, each individual supercharger does quite little, and that's kind of where a little bit of my excitement has kind of diminished. You can see my tech is basically where I have my other mythic survivor. So you can see, if I can find it now, close offense right over here. So that's where I have my matching mythic survivor. So you can see that my offense was 3251, and now it's 3275. Note, I've applied 4 superchargers, I think, to my mythic lead. They do very little. Very, very little. And in the context of weapon vouchers, or weapon superchargers, I mean, you can only get about 1 or 2, I think, this venture season. You get a bunch from the imposter quest line. If you guys are curious about how to actually acquire these, do your venture missions. So do your challenge quests, get these taken care of, get a bunch of XP as much as possible. I believe it's 2 point something million, 2.5 million, 2.2 million. I don't even know exactly. It doesn't matter, because once you get to the 2 million area, you're gonna be on the home stretch. But I've gotten about 1.1 million just from farming venture XP. You don't get anything with this XP. It's just exactly your venture level. So if I go down over here, ta-da, I'm power level 98, and I'm level 38. So I think level 50 is where you get your first weapon supercharger, I think. No, it's 36. I should have really pulled up this thing. You know what I'm going to do? Here, live on... I'm literally going to... Here, in our Discord, Adventures. Does that still have the rewards? Yes, sir. All right, let me go to monitor capture so we can just discuss this intelligently. So this was the leaked report, and it seems to be accurate. But weapon super... Yeah, 46. I keep getting it mixed up with the hero supercharger at the end there. And then the imposter quest line gives you, I think, at least 1 of each, and then you get extra survivor. I don't know what the exact rewards are, because I really haven't paid that much attention to it. But what you can see is I'm level 38. So I am... quite close to my first weapon supercharger. That would be 46, but I've already gotten 1 weapon supercharger from the imposter quest line, and that's kind of my main issue. You get about 2 weapon superchargers as of the first ventures. Now, if you're watching this in the future and ventures have changed and they've upped the rewards, then fantastic, then you can kind of ignore this part. But as of now, you get laughably few, because on the conversation of what I'm going to spend it on, I have hundreds of 130s and about 100 or more all gold weapons. So the idea of like my specters or my pepper sprayers, my specters too, there's like 4 of them, but my pepper sprayers, for example, I have 6 of these things. You're telling me it's going to take, let's see, 5 ventures per year, 10 superchargers, 5 superchargers per weapon. You're telling me it's going to take 3 years to get my pepper sprayers taken care of? That's... I wasn't just making a phrase when I said that it was laughable. Like, it is borderline ridiculous, because if you didn't catch that, yes, it takes 1 supercharger per star. That wasn't exactly inherently obvious to me and many others right away. Some people got that, I didn't, but a supercharger will be consumed for every single star. And you can see that the DPS on like my Nocturno, for example, is not going to change a lot. It's going to go up very little. It's only until you get about 4 or 5 superchargers on a weapon that you start to hit that like 15 to 20% overall damage buff to where it really actually makes a difference. So on the topic of weapon superchargers, what am I going to be spending it on? Nothing right now. Frankly, nothing. That's partially an act of defiance and partially me quite literally thinking it does so little that I just can't be bothered. But if this is the future again, and you guys are tons, you know, you guys are loaded on these and you have tons of superchargers, then the weapons I'm going to spend it on are probably the best weapons. I have lots of video content on that. A few of my videos are a little bit outdated because the 6 perk changes have changed a lot. There's a lot of conversation, like the Hemlock, for example. Great weapon in every respect. It's mathematically proven to be top tier. But that landing 5 hits in a row or the bullet splinters, those are two things that make this weapon just a little bit spicier because the snare's not really doing a lot for you. I'm not going to debate it. It's just, it's not helping you a ton. And the weapons like the Thrasher, I got one where it ups the crit rating. We found that fire rate, crit damage, now leaving the mag size perk alone, fire rate, crit damage, and then this bottom 6 perk is like the best way to go in terms of like DPS. But if you want overall sustained damage in the long run, double crit damage, crit rating is actually what you want. If anything, crit rating, crit damage with this 6 perk is actually less overall damage output than a crit build with the Affliction perk. If all that went over your head, I'm sorry, this is what I mean when things have gotten a little bit more complicated nowadays. I'm probably going to leave it like this and or give it a fire rate perk in the future. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, but especially against Mist Monsters and bosses, things get a lot stronger. Now, the Thrasher is something I bring up because it's something that's been coming to light as one of, if not the best SMG in the game right now. In terms of damage output, it is the highest damage output. You can fight me on it, but it's pointless. We've done a lot of math, okay? And that weapon is hardly mentioned in some of my best weapons videos because it wasn't that good. And there are weapons like the Silent Spectre, for example, which isn't quite the king of the SMGs anymore, but it is very good. I mean, like, you can run... So, fire rate and damage used to be like the famous little identical DPS to crit rating, crit damage. You can go fire rate, damage, crit damage, and have that up in crit rating. So you can essentially run a fire rate damage build and a crit rating crit damage build along with a damage to Mist Monsters, and this thing becomes ludicrously powerful. Again, you'll be chewing through bullets, you won't have a mag perk, and it's not really a practical build, but it's an example of how these weapons have changed a lot. So what I'm going to be spending my vouchers on, or my superchargers on, sorry again, is something that stands out alone, and that's basically like the Nocturno. This one's a really big pick for me because there's only one. I'm not gonna get a second copy. I can't change the 6 perk. It is what it is, and what it is a very, very high damage AR. I'm not 100% on this, but I'm like 97% sure that it is, I think, the highest damage output AR in the game. Now, that is factoring in the 6 perk, because its base DPS is about the same as the Siegebreaker, which is about on par, if not a little bit better than the Bobcat. But when you factor in the 65% bonus, 65% bonus damage of the 6 perk, it actually eclipses it by quite a lot. And it's very comparable to the Storm King's Scourge. But I'm not a massive fan of the mythic weapons in sense of like normal mission-to-mission gameplay because I'm locked to energy or physical on the Scourge, and it takes energy cells. Those are two major blows because the Nocturno with water will do way better against a fire enemy than the Scourge. And... I don't love that personally, and it takes energy cells, which does add up over time. And then there are weapons like the Wrath. That is a phenomenal... Well, not this one. The other one. I have it favorited. I don't use the damage one. But this one, this is probably another great pick for a weapon supercharger because the Storm King's Wrath isn't going anywhere. This thing is an absolute monster. Even after its nerf, it retains its crown as like the highest damage output weapon in the game. Very, very good use of a weapon supercharger. Another good option is like the Fury. That is very good if you're running Storm King a lot. But if you've kind of gotten all 5 of your weapons, you're not really worrying about it anymore, then honestly, if you like melees, maybe the Storm King's Ravager, because that is the highest damage output melee in the game, by like a large degree, actually. So... Again, these are weapons that I would supercharge if I had enough superchargers to really make a difference. So if that ends up being the case in the future, then hey, those are what I'm going to spend. This isn't meant to be like a comprehensive guide on every weapon you should consider. I would frankly just take every weapon guide I've produced. I'll link my best weapons video below, and I do plan to be redoing my top 10 video. So those videos that I'll be linking all have the pin comment with the spreadsheet. I'll also link the weapon spreadsheet below. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can actually pull it up because we're just right there. Okay, so it's loading real quick, but you can see all the different changes. So any weapon that I mentioned was good. Double check this, see if it got worse, like the Dragoon, which is one of the few weapons that actually got nerfed. Very few weapons got nerfed. Or like the Thrasher I mentioned earlier, got a pretty unnoticeable damage buff over here, but that makes a big difference. Then there are fun weapons like the Steam Piston. I kind of wrote it off, but they gave it a healthy damage buff. And then all the shotguns just got much better, which brings me to another topic. not only am I kind of looking at the absolute best weapons for something as rare as a supercharger, it kind of depends on your playstyle. Maybe you don't love ARs as much. Maybe you want the Founder's Quickshot, which is an SMG and also a clone of the Thrasher and just kind of better in every way on that regard. Maybe you really like shotguns. The Ground Pounder is a healthy pick for a shotgun to level up right now. Of course, if you take the damage output, the DPS, divided by the time you spend reloading, the Ground Pounder, Huskbuster, Stampede, because it's the same as a Huskbuster, and the Pop Shot are all, like, the same. They all basically have the same DPS, so you can kind of pick whichever one you prefer. I've been running my Pop Shot with these weird perks, mag size, double reload. That is, like, actually really fun. Again, because of the Fireside chat here, I'm not showing any gameplay of that, but it's really fun. I know a lot of you guys might pick the Pulsar 9000 or the Deatomizer or the Senate's Little Helper. These are all good picks. I'm not dissuading you. I'm not trying to dissuade you. There are a lot of weapons. So when they add more superchargers, I think I might make a comprehensive guide on what you should pick. But what I'm personally leaning towards is like the Nocturno. Now, I know that the weapons alone took a ton of time here, but I also want to get into the other one that I'm not spending, and that's my hero voucher for the same reason. I have very few hero, not voucher, dang, that's 3 times, I think at least. I have very few hero superchargers and so many heroes I want to level up. Personally speaking, I like ARs a lot, so I'm kind of leaning towards Rescue Trooper Ramirez or Sledgehammer, so that would be her, or Sledgehammer's hiding in here, but you know what I'm talking about. So those ones might be my personal pick, but if you're somebody who really likes, I really want to find him. Where did he go? Tactical Assault Sledgehammer? Whatever. So if you're somebody who really likes melee, you can go for Paleoluna would probably be my top pick for melee, because not only does she get the supercharge, so if I can upgrade and inspect, you can see that all of her stats go up. Most notably the health, because she pulls her damage from your current health. So the more health that she has, the more damage she's doing, on top of the ability damage and the healing modifier and all that other stuff. So you kind of get to double dip on Paleoluna, and that might be a really good pick, because you're buffing, like I said, her ability damage and her health, which in turn buffs her damage, which is that's a good combo. That is a good combo. So Paleoluna might be a good pick, but again, that depends on your playstyle. I don't really love melee. I run it a lot. I keep a hero loadout at all times for it, but I mean, damn, my 2 superchargers, or even one of my 2 going towards her, that's just too much of a commitment right now. So as of the heroes, my best heroes video is still quite relevant. That'll be linked below. I don't have many notes to that. If you're looking for the best heroes in each category, I would consult that video and get edumacated. Now, on the easier topic is survivors. Now, I showed how little of a difference it makes, so it's kind of like set bonuses, where that range damage bonus gives you 5%, which makes your range damage go from, like in this case, 3275 to 3280, which is so negligible and useless that it is within the margin of error. It's basically a rounding error, the amount of damage you get, which is useless. Now, the supercharger gives you 6 instead of 5. So I can tell you to do what I did and just use, like, I upgraded my range damage because I always prefer to do more damage output, but it makes such a little difference that it doesn't really matter. Now, you will be getting a lot of Survivor Superchargers, at least in this first venture, so using as many Superchargers as you want on all of your Survivors is a good pick. I highly recommend kind of going all into one, because it doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters if you spread it out. I'm starting and prioritizing with my Mythic Leads here, because they're not going anywhere. Any of these Survivors in support, you know, I might swap these for Trap Durability down the line. Maybe I don't know, maybe some set bonus will get buffed and it'll be more useful. I don't know, but my Mythic Leads are kind of the way to go. I should have mentioned this way earlier, but I hadn't thought of it until now, that if you recycle any of these, I don't think I can do it while he's slotted, you do get your supercharger back. So assuming they fix this and it's functioning as intended, you should be able to recycle something. And if I can demonstrate on my Ceiling Electric Field, I'm not going to actually recycle it, but if I recycle it, I should be getting my Trap Supercharger back. So if you ever make a bad decision, you can totally undo it just like that. And that is actually kind of a clean little segue into the trap recommendations. So traps have been a little broken recently because of the changes made to the game. I'm a little, unfortunately, saying this, and this is the reason I don't do Endurance. It's the reason the one time I ever did Endurance, we beat it on accident, I lost interest immediately, and that's that there are very few picks. I don't really know of any mission I've done in the past few months that can't be done with floor freeze to, you know, freeze stuff, slow them down, and make them take more damage, and sealing electric fields, and then putting tire traps over like ramps and stuff. Gas traps are still extremely powerful. They are, you know, they'll always have a soft spot in my heart because they were so strong. Even after the nerf, they are very powerful. But this brings us to another change that they made, which is propane. Propane happens a lot. Your tunnel will get deleted. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Whatever traps you put down are not going to be there forever unless you are out of range of the propane. So sealing electric field, 2 tiles up, and I don't really put floor freeze unless it's like exploding death bomb. Then I'll not place these, but I tend to place these wherever I need them. Floor specs can be nice, completely unnecessary. Tar pits are great to stop smashers, but you don't really need to supercharge that. You don't really need to supercharge floor freeze. Hell, you don't even need to make these 130. In fact, in my video, I actually talked about making these 106. I'll try to link the relevant trap videos, but I don't want to spam the entire description with everything mentioned. I'll be focusing on the best weapons, which includes the best traps, so you can kind of check that out there. And then you don't really need to supercharge a healing one because that doesn't make sense to me personally, but if you want to heal very fast, go for it. But yeah, I went straight into my sealing electric field, no questions asked, no hesitation, because I spam these a lot. Even on missions that are pretty easy, but, you know, kind of require a few traps, I'll just put sealing electric field a couple tiles up. That'll strip off the baby zombies. Maybe my defenders will do the rest, or we can clear up whatever gets through. They're very good. They work a lot. They are technically less powerful than the gas trap against physical enemies, but the gas trap, like I said, just won't stay there forever. So I put sealing electric field pretty much everywhere. And then you can also buff the drop trap. That's what my friend Skulls did. That's pretty cool because he and I play together a lot, and he took that into consideration. So he'll be able to craft supercharged traps for me. I'll be able to craft supercharged traps for him. And that's a cool angle. If you guys have a group of friends that you play with, then maybe each of you, like the Thrasher schematic I showed earlier, I have one of each element. So maybe each of you upgrades or supercharges one element version of it, and you can share. It's a cool way to play. Broadside is extremely powerful, by the way. I don't want to just gloss over this because I've been skipping over it like this and this, but it is really powerful if it doesn't get blown up by propane. So a broadside is another good consideration for a trap supercharger, but essentially in my eyes there are 4 options, and the sealing electric field got my vote without any hesitation. So long sit down chat. I think that covers everything. Core reperk is another can of worms that people have wanted me to crack open. It's too tough. I'll literally just recommend my weapon supercharger video because I have about a 5 or 7 minute just segment talking about the different trap, the different 6 perk changes. And that's basically what core reperk is. It changes the 6 perk. So if I can show literally any weapon, I don't care, Siegebreaker, I can change the 6 perk with this core reperk. And that, like I mentioned, doesn't make a massive difference. The ones that have stood out to me the most are, well, I mentioned that in my voucher video, but I'll show a few right off the bat. Like if you use defenders, standing in place can up damage, or some launchers and shotguns can have some, there's a lot there. So that's kind of outside of the scope of this video. I would need a whole specific video on it. And I think because we had a long discussion about that crit rating, you know, every shot fired ups your crit rating perk. We had a long discussion with that. Eternal Shrimp, Choo Choo, and I, last night on Discord. Very insightful. We learned a lot. It's a big video that requires its own topic, and I think I'm ready to talk about it intelligently without just speaking out of my ass. But yeah, so short answer, what I'll be spending my superchargers on, I'm leaning towards the Nocturno. I already spent it on the sealing electric field. You know why I'm leaning towards the Nocturno now, so you can make your own decision. And I'm not saying you need to do the Nocturno, just you know my thoughts behind it. Heroes, I need more. I need more superchargers before I could even pull the trigger. There are way too many different ways to play this game, and I'm not gonna lock into any one hero quite yet. But survivors are an easy pick. I mean, I up the one that I care about the most. If you guys really want to survive, then up your fortitude, your health. If you want your traps and everything to do more damage, use tech. You know, there's a lot of options here. I personally prioritize offense. I think a lot of people do too. So that was easy for me. Hopefully this was insightful. Hopefully you guys liked this. I hope you guys enjoyed a less of a polished video, because I could have included gameplay for every weapon I talked about here, but guys, this would have made it take 4 more days than I really wanted to, and I kind of want this video to just go up in a reasonable time. If you guys enjoy these kind of videos, or if I helped in any way, feel free to use code Mista to check out. I would link the channel member plug thing here, but I don't want to edit this, so it'll be in the description. And then do. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not that kind of video. I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully with a little bit more effort done. But I wanted to have a little bit of a different speed of this video. I'll see you guys later.